Welcome back to Otaku Daikun. Dai here, and it's time for more lore of Fate Grand Order. This time, we'll be covering the Tunguska Sanctuary, where we finally settle the score with Koyanskaya once and for all. She's always been a mysterious figure, fighting and sabotaging our plans, while also occasionally saving us. We've even saved her at times. So far, she's claimed this is all a matter of business for her company, NFF Services, but now we can actually get to the bottom of what that even means. Before we get started, consider buying your anime figures from Entertainment Earth. Use my affiliate link to get 10% off all in-stock items, as well as free US shipping on orders $79 and up. Today, I recommend this affordable Okita noodle stopper and this premium Ilya Berserker install. Also, I have a Dai-chan Dakimakura for sale on Cuddly Octopus. You can find all the relevant links in the description. Last we left off, Chaldea was on the brink of death when Cernunnos attacked. We would have perished if not for the strangely courageous efforts of Koyanskaya, who went beast mode and shielded the storm border mid-flight. It's odd, given how earlier in the British Lost Belt, she attempted to revive the Dragon of Albion and incurred a bloody injury at the hands of Melusine. Both instances have left her weakened, affected by Cernunnos' curse. Her plan of ascending as Beast 4 is put on hold until she can regain her strength. To that end, she retreats to her home base, the NFF Services headquarters in the Tunguska region of Russia. We've already been to the Russian Lost Belt, meaning that this is another ordeal entirely. Chaldea detects it as something of a singularity or Lost Belt, and yet it's also neither. Let's see if we can break down what's actually happening. I spoiled it a while ago, but as everyone calls her Tamamo-vich Koyanskaya, she's actually not one of Tamamo's separated tails. Tamamo-vich is one of the tails, mind you, but the Koyanskaya we've been dealing with all this time is simply imitating that tail. Her actual presence is something else entirely. On June 30th, 1908, a meteor fell to Earth and almost landed near the Tunguska River. Before impact, however, it had an airburst, essentially exploding above the surface. While it left no impact crater, this explosion decimated the surrounding land, killing countless animals. Ground zero of the blast became Koyanskaya's birthplace. She is what's called a singularity convergence body, a distorted saint graph left behind by the Tunguska incident and the screams of animals who died from it. She manifested as a nameless nature spirit with two conflicting elements. On one end, she is the embodiment of destruction, the explosion expressed as a heroic spirit. On the other, she embodies the collective will of all the creatures extinguished in the blast. Thus, Koyanskaya represents both death itself and the animal's will to live. She would have remained dormant, even vanishing from time, but took on new life as an alter ego servant when Foe used up the authority of Beast 4 during the Solomon Singularity. By saving Mashu, Foe gave away his claim to the role of Beast, leaving the position open for another candidate. Koyanskaya was a perfect match, partnering with the alien god for the chance to develop as the new Beast 4. Each of the 7 Lost Belts contained rare species that didn't exist in proper human history. By collecting these creatures and appropriating their different attributes, Koyanskaya aimed to grow her tails to full maturity. This begs an important question: why grow tails at all? Well, as I've explained in earlier videos, Tamamo no Mae is a divided spirit of the sun goddess Amaterasu, who took on the form of a 9-tailed golden fox. Those who claim to have witnessed the Tunguska event described the explosion as being bright like the sun. Sure enough, Amaterasu was present for this disaster and welcomed the newborn Koyanskaya as one of the sun's children. To greet her, Amaterasu summoned the Russian hero Dobrynya Nikitich, a legendary bogatyr who served Vladimir the Great, a king considered to be the sovereign of the sun. Nikitich's manifestation was brief, only long enough to encounter and name this fledgling spirit. He gave her the name Yaskaya before vanishing. Over time, however, she would misremember this name as Koyanskaya. It makes sense then that a nature spirit born from a sun-like explosion in Russia would go on to imitate a derivative aspect of one of mythology's most powerful sun deities. Now, beasts of humanity are weird. They simultaneously seek to destroy humanity while at the same time loving humans. It's a weird contradiction that allows humans to overcome tremendous odds and grow ever stronger. In Koyenskaya's case, her hatred of humanity comes from the hatred felt by deceased animals. While Tunguska was a natural disaster, the collective unconscious of these animals still holds humanity in contempt. In the animal kingdom, it may be normal for animals to kill each other to survive, but humans and our technology have put us on top of the food chain. Beyond merely hunting animals as nourishment, we also hunt for sport, bringing many species to extinction. To that extent, Koyenskaya wants nothing more than to eradicate humans and establish a utopia for all non-human creatures to prosper under her protection. Thus, Koyenskaya's base is neither a singularity nor a lost belt. Rather, it is a massive reality marble composed from her entire body, in which her ideal sanctuary exists in an isolated space. So, where does her love for humanity come from? Essentially, Koyenskaya's view of humanity aligns with that of Gaia, the will of the planet. For as much as humans are a danger to the planet, we are also part of the planet. Technically, we're just as much a product of nature as any other creature, which is why our planet's will split into two separate parts. Alaya looks after humanity and our prosperity, while Gaia seeks to protect the planet from us. Similarly, while humans hunt other animals, we still count as animals ourselves, which is why we can get along with Koyenskaya to an extent. Regardless, now that she's nesting in her sanctuary, building up strength to finally mature as a beast, we can't just let her have her way. The essence of Excalibur we obtained in Britain is still being analyzed. Until it's ready, we can't go fighting the alien god in Lost Belt 7, so now becomes the opportune time to stop Koyenskaya before it's too late. First, we try to fly to Tunguska in the Storm Border, but quickly learn that this domain rejects humanity. Any servants who were once human wind up disappearing, such as Nemo and Sherlock. Servants who are still technically alive, such as Mashu and Da Vinci in her homunculus body, are lucky enough to remain intact. Thus, Chaldea's remaining staff hops on the Shadow Border and drops into the reality marble from above. That way, Nemo can keep the Storm Border at a distance and maintain his form. This ordeal took us by surprise, meaning that all the servants Sherlock intended to bring with us are no longer compatible with Tunguska. That is, except for one, Ibuki Doji. We first met her as an enemy during Heian Kyo. She's the child of Yamata no Orochi and is another aspect of Shuten Doji. Since she is an Oni and not a proper human, she's able to manifest in Tunguska, albeit with the loss of some of her memories. Even though she doesn't recall her true name, she's still a welcome addition to our party. We're also joined by the fairy Habitrot, who for the moment is the keeper of the Black Barrel. Both of these servants vanished at the end of their respective chapters, but it's implied that Ritsuka later went on to summon both of them as proper Chaldean heroes. We need all the help we can get, considering this domain is infested with the Lost Kin, creatures Koyenskaya brought from all the prior Lost Belts. These include the Yaga from Russia, the Giants from Scandinavia, the Kali from India, the Cerberus from Atlantis, and the Moors from Britain. In a rather silly decision, I guess Koyenskaya managed to conjure those tiger-headed tanks from China now as living creatures. In addition, Koyenskaya has recreated some of the main boss monsters from prior Lost Belts, specifically Ivan the Terrible and Surtur. They are known as lost weapons, and I'm glad as hell they don't include Demeter or Carnunos. That would be bullshit, especially since we're limited in what kinds of servants we can effectively use in battle. Sure, you can still bring human servants, but they'll only do half the damage and get hit twice as hard. There are, however, two exceptions. Two stray servants with a loose connection to Koyenskaya manifest here to defeat her. First is a female version of Dobrynia Nikitich. As I said before, Nikitich was a bogatyr, a heralded warrior written of in the epic poem by Lina. He served Vladimir, the Grand Prince of Kiev, and is most known for slaying the three-headed dragon Zmai Goranich. His armor and weapons were made from Damascus steel, and he often rode atop his favorite horse, Burko. As a servant, Nikitich manifests not as himself, but rather in the body of his wife, Nastasia. She was the daughter of a giant, Mikula Seljaninovich, and after defeating Nikitich in battle, she placed him in her pouch. In time, they would be wed, and she faithfully devoted herself to him, awaiting his return from adventures. Because Nastasia was a giant beast woman of sorts, this servant Nikitich has cat ears, and rides Burko in the form of a dragon. Presumably, this is because Nikitich suffered a lingering curse from Goranich after defeating it. This turned his horse into a dragon, and in servant form, she can summon Goranich as part of her noble phantasm. Even though this is Nikitich's wife, she takes on her husband's role, proudly proclaiming to be capable of almost anything. I like her. She's cute and sexy. The other servant is Taigong Wang, known in Japanese as Taikobo. He was a brilliant tactician for King Wen of the Zhou dynasty. As a royal general, his strategies helped defeat the Yin dynasty, and as a reward, he was able to found the Kingdom of Qi. Beyond his strategies, Taigong is also a ridiculously OP mage who practices the Taoist art of philosophy magecraft, or Feng Shu. I've got a separate lesson in magecraft dedicated to Chinese arts, but for now, just be aware that by practicing this craft, Taigong is tapping into the power of immortal Xian practitioners. His mentor was Yuanshi Tianzun, one of the greatest divine Xian to ever exist. Taigong and his magecraft were made famous in the Ming Dynasty novel Investiture of the Gods. His fame qualifies him to be a Grand Servant, specifically the Grand Caster. You'd think that since he's here to slay a beast of humanity, he would have been a Grand, but this time around he's just an ordinary rider. His mount is Sibushang, a quasi-dragon that doubles as his noble phantasm. At first glance, most people consider Sibushang to be a dragon, but Taigong insists that's not the case, as he's not powerful enough to make a dragon his familiar. Regardless, Sibushang is still strong, enough so that it remains in a dormant state as a taper when not in battle. Perhaps the reason Taigong isn't summoned as a Grand Servant is because he's mistaken his actual target. Much like Tamamo no Mae, there is another figure considered to be a divided spirit of Amaterasu. She is Daji, or Daki in Japanese, an evil fox woman whom Taigong once fought and defeated. She was a 1,000-year-old Huli Jing, a fox spirit who was sent to China by the mother goddess Nua to bring an end to the Yin dynasty. Instead, however, she found this era to be ideal for sowing chaos and suffering. Daji prolonged the Yin dynasty by sneaking her way into the court and becoming the favorite concubine of King Zhou of Shang. From this vantage point, she bewitched the king and ruled the kingdom vicariously through him, enacting cruel policies that would torment her people. Thus, the gods of Kunlun tasked Taigong with slaying her. While she was evil to the core, Taigong thought of her as beautiful, even as he vanquished her. Due to her traits as a fox spirit, Taigong Wang is convinced that Koyanskaya is Daji, and he assumes his purpose as a servant is to hunt her once again. Because he's human, Tunguska does reject his presence, but he maintains his form through Taoist arts. Both Taigong and Nikitich choose to join Chaldea in their hunt, and together, we explore the two opposing halves of this reality marble. Fortunately, we start off in the Life Zone, where Koyanskaya's utopia presides. Here, all manner of rare and peaceful animals reside in the Tunguska forest. Through her whim, these animals do not mate, grow, or evolve in any way. They are born directly from Koyanskaya, lacking a will of their own. In that regard, they are all siblings. Beyond the Life Zone is, of course, the Death Zone, a desolate space where killing is constant. Bizarre war beasts, creatures merged with guns, spawn and kill each other in perpetuity. After showing us these two zones, Taigong insists that Koyanskaya will be waiting for them in Tunguska's center, because Daji never leaves her home base. He's surprised then when Koyanskaya, or a shadow of her anyway, confronts us directly on the shadow border. As the mother of this domain, she can produce infinite lost kin, forcing us to retreat. Taigong's spell, which was designed specifically to eradicate Daji, does absolutely nothing to her. Once we escape, he apologizes profusely for his mistake, and we forgive him. He's lucky too, as in legend, he wasn't the most forgiving person himself. He's famous for dropping a sick burn on his ex-wife, Ma Shi. Back in the day, his wife left him, only to come back begging for his love after he became a famous tactician. Cleverly, he answered by spilling water out of a tray and promising to accept her only if she puts all that water back. In other words, go fuck yourself. Taigong's failure against Koyanskaya wasn't deliberate though, he just had the wrong idea about things. After thinking it over, he realizes Daji and Koyanskaya are completely different people, and vows to establish a new spell that will actually work. Prepared for our final battle, we charge through all the war beasts between the border and NFF Services headquarters. At the front entrance, we're politely greeted by a humanoid rabbit butler named PB, who shows us to the tower's main hall. PB is the only other creature in Tunguska able to speak human tongue. In the hall, Koyenskaya admits that she was hoping the alien god would wipe out humanity for her, but now she's got to take matters into her own hands. We learn how Koyenskaya used the creatures obtained from other Lost Belts to construct her tails. She would have 6 tails by now, if not for Melusine destroying one of them in Britain. Between that and the lingering curse she sustained from Cernunos, she's not yet fit to become a beast. Even so, she starts to force her maturation. This gives us a fighting chance. Mashu, Ibuki Doji, Nikitich, Taigong, and Habitrot undo Koyenskaya's bestial transformation, leaving her with no choice but to self-destruct. Given that this entire reality marble is her body, she can blow herself up and take Chaldea down with her. Still, it's fair to say that none of us actually want this outcome, so Taigong comes up with a business arrangement he thinks will benefit everyone. Deep down, what Koyenskaya really wants is to preserve her territory. She doesn't actually want to destroy humanity, but now that she's established this reality marble, she's effectively pinned to Tunguska until she dies or becomes a beast. Unless she's dealt with, the human order can't be repaired, even if Chaldea defeats the alien god. However, if she could remove her territory from the human order entirely, both it and proper Tunguska could exist simultaneously. Taigong's solution?
Space!
That's right, let's just take Koyenskaya's sanctuary and launch it into outer space. She can then search the Sea of Stars for a new home, after which she can do whatever she wants. She can grow the sanctuary or become a beast without threatening anyone. To pull this off, Taigong compresses her in space-time, shrinking her down to the size of an adorable egg, a tamago no mae, if you will. Through an elaborate Xi'an-level art, he can safely hide this world egg until Chaldea restores proper human history, at which point the egg will fly out into the vastness of space. Koyenskaya agrees to this plan, though she vows to break out of the egg and re-establish her Tunguska if we fail to save humanity. In the meantime, she goes dormant, refusing to thank Nikitich for giving her the name Yaskaya. Her reality marble disappears, and we return to the bleached earth once more. Taigong and Nikitich also fade away, having accomplished their goal. In the aftermath of Tunguska, Chaldea can summon Koyenskaya in one of 2 forms, Koyenskaya of Light and Koyenskaya of Darkness, her contradictory elements split into separate servants. As a being who hated humanity so much that she mastered our weapons to use against us, it's interesting having her finally fight on humanity's side. The event ends with an epilogue that sets the stage going into Lost Belt 7. Ever since Koyenskaya and Anastasia first demolished Chaldea's old base, we've been sheltering ourselves at the Wandering Sea. Recall that Sion, an Atlas alchemist, struck a deal with the Wandering Sea's mages to use part of their facility to establish Novum Chaldea, our current base. Well, nothing lasts forever, I suppose. Normally, the Wandering Sea is well hidden, by nature of it existing on a separate texture from reality. The only exception to this rule is on December 31st each year, when the Wandering Sea manifests in reality to recruit new members. The alien god, aka Yu Olga Marie, has been searching for our hideout ever since she took shape on Earth. This New Year's Eve finally allows her to find and attack us. We've established that Olga's too powerful to face right now, because she can generate miniature black holes on command. Thus, when she does this to Novum Chaldea, we're left with no choice but to flee, abandoning the Wandering Sea and taking shelter in the storm border. Fortunately, Sion predicted this ahead of time and made preparations. Technically speaking, what we've been using as a base isn't exactly the real Wandering Sea, as confusing as that is. The one that appears annually is a mere shadow. Its true form lies beyond the 5 gates, existing frozen in the past. Basically, at a certain point, the Wandering Sea's mages just gave up on human history and went into hiding. They figure, in the grand scheme of time, what happens to humanity is irrelevant, as there will someday be a chance for them to return. That means whenever you talk to these guys, you're talking to their past selves through time gates that bridge the temporal gap. You can think of these gates as separate divisions of the Wandering Sea, each connected to the facility at different time periods. In the face of Olga's assault, Sion stays behind to seal these gates off. That way, even if the Wandering Sea gets destroyed in the modern era, it'll still exist where its true form remains in the past. As she does this, she gets a surprise communication from Gane, the Gate of Rebirth. On the other line is a mage named Fabro Rowan, whom you might recognize as Nero Chaos from Tsukihime. In that story, Rowan was a mage who sought immortality by becoming a dead apostle. In FGO's timeline, he instead joined up with the Wandering Sea in the year 1000 AD. On orders from his current mentor, Rowan offers Sion the chance to join the Wandering Sea officially. While this is likely a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, she declines in order to continue helping Chaldea. With the true Wandering Sea separated from the current one, Sion has it compressed and fired back at Olga. This lets the Stormborder safely emerge in reality space. To our surprise, Olga's assault doesn't actually kill Sion. She orchestrated her counterattack remotely, while sneaking onto the border unseen. She nearly reveals herself to be a vampire, similar to her state in the Melty Blood timelines, but stops just short of the truth. She compares her survival to how Yume Ren revives after self-destructing. This genius girl may be mysterious, but we sure are glad to have her on our side. In the end, we no longer have the Wandering Sea to shelter us. Chaldea has been relegated to just the Stormborder, which can't keep flying around forever without refueling. For as vulnerable as we are, Ritsuka and the crew remain optimistic going into the final chapter. Well, I say final chapter, but there's actually one more event standing between us and the 7th Lost Belt. Lost Belt 6.5 is known as Traum, Death and Revelation World, which I'll cover as soon as it drops in North America. Please look forward to that in a future video. Thanks for watching.
If you enjoy this channel, help us grow by liking, commenting, sharing the video, subscribing to Otaku Daikun, and
most of all, smashing that notification bell so you don't miss out on all our anime lore, discussions, and Let's Play content.
You can support us directly through Patreon, Subscribestar, or a YouTube membership, all of which come with benefits like spicy exclusive vids and early access.
As always, celebrate your fandom. I want to give a special shout out to all my $10 and up supporters: VideoGamer75, Dante Pendragon, Stephen Elak, Samuel Gersten, The Nonchalant Ostrich, Otaku Mom, Jens Bauman, Mystic Samurai 1983, Lord Ormagoden, Freebrick, Alexis Yukio Gomez Yamato, Link Pendrago, Olympian Doll, Observer Bellis, James Hewitt, Uncanny EXP, Scout, Zamas Autonomous, Jared, Yukie Iros, Crow Calum, Saul Soto, Tristan Riggin, Major, Sogai CH, Caitlin P, Vladimirovna, The Taz 96, Kengo X77, Hersha of E-Rated Hands, Alistair Bernadotte, and Akakaze Yume. Thank you all so much.